Some PC board layout requires placement of components on polar grid. SOLIDWORKS PCB supports that feature. By going into grids, we're going to select it and we click on menu and we will add a polar grid. Once the polar grid is added into our list, by double clicking, I can change its parameters. I'm going to say that the end angle will be 180 degrees. And for my angular step, I'm going to change to 10 degrees. And for radial step, I will use 50 mils. Once it's done, I'm going to set the origin by clicking inside my layout where the polar grid will start. Now I'll say OK, and I'm going to select the components. So when we place them, it will use these polar grids for the component placement. So the polar grid array area is created in my layout, and I'm going to place the components. You see that as soon as I select component and it is inside the polar grid, it auto rotates and snaps to the polar grids inside this area. This is very useful, so you don't have to manually placing components and then selecting them one by one and changing the angle of each component, which can be very tedious and time-consuming and possibly error-prone routine. Thus, the polar array grids allows us to place component in polar fashion, and it's a great productivity enhancer that allows us place components quickly in the polar grid to satisfy boards that requires either circular or radius placement. Very powerful and easy to set up and use.